Hello. Feels like it's been a while, but how are we doing? I want to make a video talking about Deflect Shield. I made one on Guard Crush. I'm not sure if that's up or not. Maybe it is, but if it's not, it's coming soon. Kind of going through some of the system mechanics, but I also talked about Wild Assault. But yeah, Deflect Shield's one that I've been wanting to talk about, and yeah, that was the time. So there's a lot to talk about. First off, I want to start by saying Deflect Shield was added with Wild Assault, obviously, at the start of season 3. We obviously saw the trailer at Evo when Johnny got announced and whatnot. And I think that this is a lot less used at the higher level than Wild Assault. I think Wild Assault is universally used at every level of play. I think that's one thing that we can agree on. But for Deflect Shield, it varies. And at the higher level / top level, you don't see it. At the top level, you don't see it. You sometimes see it at the higher level, but you definitely see a lot at the lower levels. I think that the reason for it being is, there's a couple things of why I think we don't see it. One, a lot of people don't think it's worth it and instead would rather just spend bursts. I think that bursting and getting the opponent away from you is a lot better than risking it on a Deflect Shield that, you know, if it doesn't work, then you get counter hit, or you're still blocking and you just lost 50 of your burst that you could have used for, 2 Wild Assaults down the line if you were on offense, or, you wish you would have just kept it so you could have your burst, right? So, again, sometimes the return, it doesn't seem worth it, especially because it is pretty finicky. It's very character specific on if it's good or not. I know versus Milia, it's really, really good, according to Milia players, because you have the Deflect Shield OS or whatever. And it's a lot of people for their character, besides the people that play the character, actually, it's a lot of people don't know that it's actually good versus some characters, right? Like, for example, versus Zato, Deflect Shield is really good, but the issue is you have to kind of get in the lab and specific situations on where and what you want to Deflect Shield. And I don't have all the answers myself. Maybe I'll make a video on that in the future, but it's good. Again, it just varies between characters. For example, sometimes it feels like versus Happy Chaos, Deflect Shield is useless, right? Or, different things like that. Again, I've stated before, a lot of people in this game don't like to actually lab. So getting into labbing all the specific situations that Deflect Shield could work doesn't really interest a lot of people. They kind of just wish the answers were there. Like FD, right? That's universal. Like you basically always want to FD, right? Or, I try to IB or IBFD, right? But for Deflect Shield, since you're spending something that, is so valuable, like your burst, half your burst, it's, people are definitely, I feel like, scared to use it. But at the lower levels, it seems like a lot of people actually think Deflect Shield is not great. I've talked to some people in that level, and a lot of people spam Deflect Shield, right? They get it, they'll spam Deflect Shield, and they've never labbed the situations to use Deflect Shield. They just don't want to block, right? So it's kind of like, okay, I just seriously don't feel like blocking, like, just get me out, right? Which is understandable, but I feel like if you use it like that, then it's either going to work great or it's just not going to work at all and you're going to get blown up for it. And so I think a lot of those people come to the conclusion that it's just simply not that great and should be better. When I made the video on what people wanted for season 4, when I went on Twitter and I asked and I read off the comments and whatnot, it seemed like a lot of people were saying they wanted, or not a lot, but some people were saying they wanted buffs to Deflect Shield. And oh no, please don't buff Deflect Shield. I know that Wild Assault just seems a lot better, but we just don't need Deflect Shield to be any better than it already is. I think the only thing I want changed for Deflect Shield, honestly, is the input. I think a lot of people have an issue. For example, they'll go for like an air throw and they'll get deflect, right? Stuff like that is super annoying and can cost you the games at a lot of times, and it's just unnecessary use of like your burst. I've seen some people try to throw and they get this, right? So the input is a little, I don't know, I wish I had changed the input. Fun fact, at Arc World Tour, where Varix won, so Arc World Tour 2024, the devs actually said that one of the things they wanted to fix about the game, and they said it to the players at an after party, they said that they wanted to change the input of Deflect Shield, and it has yet to be changed. You can imagine, as we're very close to the next Arc World Tour, so it's been quite a while. So yeah, no, this is it's just something that has not been changed. I kind of want to talk about Deflect Shield, what it does. So if you don't know, or if you already know, Deflect Shield, obviously it's a defensive mechanic. It prevents chip damage. It prevents your risk from increasing. So those are two great things, obviously. It pushes back. Think of it essentially as EX FD. Or I guess like a free IBFD to show you the difference, if I set Slayer to do, let's have him do empty jump, close slash, right? If I were to IBFD this, it would look like this, right? So that's what IBFD looks like. And then if I were to deflect shield, right? So he goes farther. You can imagine that, you know, in some situations where you can't. So for example, versus projectile. So IBFD does not work versus projectiles, obviously, right? If you IBFD a fireball, it's not gonna do really anything for you, right? Projectiles, it does not matter, but deflect shield actually does work versus projectiles. So let me give you an example. Okay, so now I have Zato. So obviously, as you know, Eddie is a projectile. So if I do that, okay, so you see how Zato gets pushed back here, right? It's the same thing if he were to do something like this, right? He would also get pushed back even when he's in the air, right? And so this is a situation where deflect shield can be good for Zato, depending on like the setup and mix-ups that he's doing, right? Obviously, if you were to, you can IB this. So I'm not good at IBing this, so I probably will mess it up. Actually, I'm not even gonna try to IB the drills. But what I'm trying to say is if you IB or IBFD the drills, nothing happens. Zato doesn't get moved back. There's no like sort of pushback. But on deflect shield, there is. Deflect shield is also think of it as an auto blocker as well. So doesn't matter if the mix-up is like, you know, high or low, right? Doesn't matter. It will block it for you, right? It is just a get off me tool. It's a get off me bubble. The bubble is like a get away from me, like do not, you know, right? And that's why I believe a lot of lower level players kind of just let it fly. The downside of this is it has counter hit recovery. What this means is if they bait your deflect shield, you can explode for it. So what this looks like is if I have Zato do, let's have him do. So let's have Zato fake it. So he's gonna summon, but it's not gonna be an actual, he's gonna do empty summon, right? He's gonna summon Eddie. So after the 5H, I do deflect, right? You can essentially get it baited, right? That wasn't a real punish, but if you wanted to see a real punish, you know, it could be something like that. Let's just do something simple, right? Pretty long recovery, right? All counter hit, all 19 frames are again in counter hit state. This also, I mean, I think it's already known, this deflect shield also does work versus guard crush, which is why it is highly recommended when you're fighting characters like Gold Lewis or, you know, Potemkin that you want to use this mechanic. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It is definitely, again, the main use of it is to escape any mix-up that you just don't want to get put in, right? Like I mentioned, it kind of is an auto blocker. And then the last one, or the second option, which is the last option, would be to push away the opponent. Push them away, get them out, they're running strike throw, push them out. And actually sometimes if you use it correctly, or you know what the opponent is gonna press in their string, right? You can actually get a punish on some things, right? So for example, if I know that Zato is going to do button into something, and I deflect shield at the right time, you know, he whiffs the move, and I can then run up and whiff punish him, right? So it can be used to get your offense started. But again, there's a lot of what ifs, right? They could bait it. If you're a pretty deflect shield heavy player and the person knows, they can be ready for it. You can then get punished. You waste half your burst, right? There's a lot of mind games into it, and I think that at the high level, it's just not. People just don't really want to get too much into it. I'm sure that a lot of people, again, at the higher and top level, have guaranteed deflect shield points of things that they will always, like, for example, like I mentioned, you know, Gold Lewis or Pot or anything like that, where it's just, I don't want to be in this mess, right? Kind of get me out. But yeah, I will say, I do encourage people to go lab certain situations they can use to get out of, you know, to use Deflect Shield, go lab. I do think it is a very strong mechanic. It doesn't need any buffs. It is strong as is. You just have to know when and how to use it. That's truly and I know it's the lab, right? But trust me, I do think that it will change your mind on this. It's pretty annoying to fight. Even random deflect shields, even at the top level, I can speak for everyone. It is pretty annoying to fight. Like, it's like, like, dang, like, I didn't think this person would do that. And, you know, it's kind of forces you to readjust your brain to what just happened and try to, like, get around the deflect shield. So it's annoying on both on both sides, but mainly the person that's being deflect shielded. If it works on accident, it's like, oh, okay, well that kind of just screwed up what I had going, right? So it's good. It's good. I think that's the main point of the message. It's good. It's good. But yeah, that's all for me. If you think that maybe there's a buff that you would like to see with Deflect Shield, then I'm very curious to see. If you think it's good as is, let me know. If you think it's too strong, let me know. But yeah, I'm curious to hear everyone's thoughts. Thank you everyone for watching, and like always, until next time.